Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Shady
Shade in the
City.
City.
I'm your girl Treese,
It's Nels.
and today we are getting into our review of the reunion of the Real Housewives of Dubai, Part 1. So please make sure if you have not already that you hit that like button.
And that subscribe button.
And let's get into it, y'all, because we know it's going to be full of shadiness and looks that I can't wait to see because we know Ion is going to give.
Delay.
Yes, let's get into it and let's get shady. To the reunion, and all the girls' looks are giving, serving. Now we started to show off the set. First of all, has sand on it. I was loving it. It definitely felt
Yes,
like
it was given
they
Dubai.
were shooting and they were giving Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
They start to show off, and Andy is getting a call from Miss Naomi Campbell herself. And I'm pretty sure I have said it numerous times during our reviews that I've always thought that Ion gave big Naomi energy.
Mm-hmm.
So she actually tells Ion she thinks she's beautiful. She loves watching her, keep doing her thing, slaying on these chicks, okay? And invites her to be a part of one of her shows in Qatar. And asked, are you
On
available?
October 25th. I know to walk. I said,
Ion said, absolutely, I would love to walk with you, my sister. I
well,
said,
no, she was like, I would love to see you again. Like that
right.
they
I
like,
said, well, y'all do this.
right?
This ain't new. You true. Okay.
And she told her that she was the best thing on the show while Stansberry was just sitting right there.
Now, I am not gonna lie to y'all. Brooks came out giving, okay?
Yes, she
Her
did.
dress apparently was designed in Nigeria, and they've been working on this dress for months. Now, don't get me wrong, the dress was beautiful. It was given a little Statue of Liberty, but still a very beautiful dress, girl. You did your thing. And she's like, yes, I'm here with my feathers. And Ion's like, yeah, I noticed the feathers because
That's
that's
my
your
thing. I said, oh.
I said, oh,
But they suit you. They suit you. I thought she
right.
was about to say something else when she said they suit you. I was like,
I was like, okay, it's starting early, y'all. It was the energy was
yes.
if I could tell y'all, Lisa looked like a damn teapot. And I don't mean as far as I mean as she was just brewing. She couldn't wait. I was like, what is going on?
Her
Now,
girls was hanging out. Look, Andy was like, it looked like you gonna have an opportunity for some slippage, girl. All
mm,
up in here. All up in here.
now Sarah says that, Andy is like, so what is your intention for the reunion? And she says that, she wants to, air things out and get to the truth of it
Mm-hmm.
all. I said, okay, Sarah, let's
And
see
really
how
all they had for Nina was her damn fries.
that's why I ain't even.
She's
Now,
like, yeah, I'm gonna have some for lunch and some mac and cheese.
that's actually, I would do that. That's actually a pretty good combination. I actually like it a lot. Now, Andy brings up how they got a lot of criticism when they originally decided to shoot in Dubai because, women's rights are maybe not what they are here. And obviously, the issues with homosexuality over there, they weren't really sure. And Ion talks about, look, most of my friends are queer, okay? And she's like, and in Dubai, as long as you're respectful, that's really what they care about. Stansberry tries to tell Andy that it's like anywhere you can hold hands, and he's like, even two guys, and she's like, yes, it doesn't matter. You're just like, you just can't be out there making out. Like you wouldn't want to see me or Sergio making out. And he's like, no, I'd watch that.
What I liked was Sarah explained that it's not a Muslim thing. She said in the UAE it's a melting
Just to
pot. So
respect other
it's
cultures.
for cultures, religions, it's out of respect. So you don't offend anyone.
Right. Because
I
they
like
problems.
I like that Ion when they brought about women's when they talked about women's rights, she's like
That's a lot of
like
places.
she's like, let's talk about the difference because the US can't even have abortions. I said, what?
Right. He then asked about Dubai's response to the Real Housewives of Dubai. And Sarah says that they actually got backlash from some of the people there because, especially her, they don't feel like she correctly represents a Emirati housewife. And I was like, oh, okay. Andy asked Brooks about her comment on, Black people being in Dubai, or her comment to Phaedra when she was there about how Black people are treated in Dubai versus America. And Brooks says that in Dubai, the safety level and how she can send her son to school and just out and
And
know
know he's going to come back in one piece.
And Lisa completely agrees. And I think that we heard her say that before in one of the first episodes. And they talk about how half of their police don't even got guns.
You know what, though? I don't even know if it was just the police. I know that they mentioned the police, but I mean, here we're scared to send our kids outside to play. Not worried about police. We worried they're going to get snatched up.
Snatched up, send them to school, to get shot up. It's so many different things that I can honestly, as Brooks says, no amount of money. You understand what I'm saying? I would spend whatever.
Yeah, money can't buy that.
Yeah, money can't buy that. And yeah, I just thought that was great that they touched on that. Then he asked Sarah about drinking. Now, this is where I got a little lost because apparently it's controlled in Dubai.
She says anyone can drink in the UAE, but it's controlled. You can't just go anywhere to buy it, and you need to have like a alcohol license in order to buy it, like for your home.
Well, then apparently Andy asked, well, what do you do for people who have an at-home bar? And of course, Brooks
is the one to answer.
Jumps up. I'm sorry, I ain't mad at her because that would have probably been me too. Brooks jumps up and says, well, what you have to do is you have to fill out the form. There's a form that you fill out.
She said, you got to check the box and say you're alcoholic.
And I said, I would be the one that figured it out. Like, girl, you ain't got it at your, yeah, I get bottles all the time.
And clearly, she the only one to know about it because everybody else is like, I don't know if that's true. She's like, look, I'm telling you.
So then Andy gets into Stansberry's, storyline, her and
her love life,
and them having a baby. Now, she says that they're not doing anything till she moves into her new home. And then he asked her if she's going to carry the baby, obviously based off, we know that she has had previous issues carrying her other kids. And she says that she absolutely is. Andy kind of expresses to her, like, it doesn't seem like Sergio is really too concerned about how this
might have problems, that it could be problematic.
Right.
And she says that she doesn't really think that he understands what preeclampsia is. He doesn't really understand the birds and the bees at all, quite honestly.
Which is why we're still waiting on that sex education class. Now, one of the viewers says that they feel like Stansberry is just putting on for Sergio, and she doesn't really want another baby. And she admits that, no, she's not tripping off another child, but she does want to give Sergio what he wants. And no, it's not a deal breaker, but she thinks he deserves to have his own child and is willing to kill herself to give him that.
Well, she did say, if the doctor says that it's if it's going to be a problem, that she would get a surrogate, but it was stuck because you're not allowed to have a surrogate in Dubai, so it would have to be someone abroad, and that kind of leaves them out of the process for a whole 9 months. They kind of come on your door and, hey, here's your baby.
Well, that part.
So then he asked Lisa if she would consider giving Stansberry some maternity clothes to, promote. And she says, yeah, absolutely. I'll give some to her and Sergio. And he asked Stansberry if they did a prenup, and she was like, yeah, absolutely. It was super easy because of, what he had left over from soccer. And Ion said, he never played soccer. She said, I got friends in Madrid. He wasn't on no team. He ain't playing no soccer. She's like, yeah, he did. I don't know if she said from 15 or if he played for 15 years. I don't know what.
I don't know. I love how Brooke stood up for her girl and was like, no, Sergio was contracted by
the. He said he had a Madrid contract.
And he just never played. It's giving Will Ralph energy.
But apparently
never played. And so Ion was like, so how do you get paid if you don't play?
Because you have a contract. She clearly didn't understand that.
Because Ion's a model. So even though somebody
you don't work,
which if you don't walk, you don't get paid. So I can get how she could be confused.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then Sarah's like, why are you so like this energy that you're giving. Why are you so worried about what Sergio and his and because he was talking to me and she was like, no, he was talking to her.
I don't know. Apparently,
Stansberry. And that's why I said, I don't know what is going on with Lisa. I understand Ion because that's just, we've seen Ion be that way most of the season. She comes ready for the smoke, ready to become below it, all that other stuff. But Lisa is just sitting there ready as well. It's nuts.
Then apparently, there'll be time soon to get into apparently Sergio made some racist tweets.
Oh, yes, back in 2016. And Andy asked if that was discussed.
Apparently, with these tweets that was going around, Brooke says that she addressed it with him, okay? And Sarah says someone from her tech team researched it, and apparently it wasn't linked to his Instagram, and it was somebody just trying to promote their R&B nightclub. He said that he didn't tweet those tweets, and Brooke says that she's indifferent about it, but did explain how that word is problematic, as did Stansberry. Now, they apparently there's questions coming in, and one of the questions was, as an influencer, she gets a lot of free things and wants to know what everything is valued at. She says it's probably over 7 figures, but she says it's not free. It's a job and it's used for marketing. And it's really not even about how many followers you have, but about who follows you. And she says she got some rich and powerful.
Because she couldn't say how many she had.
Follow her. Well, no, he said that he had a lot of followers.
He said the question was how many. She skipped over that and said it's not about how many, which makes me think if you put that number out, maybe up against Lisa, Ion, or anybody else on the show. So yeah, but it's not about how many, it's about who. She deflected. She didn't answer the question.
Oh, okay. Well.
Okay.
So then they want to know what Sergio does for a living and if he's on her payroll. She says he's
not on my payroll.
She says he's not on her payroll.
He does crypto day trading. He's up at 4 a.m.
She says he works with her and he does day trading. And yes, he's up at 4 a.m. And then she says,
but she don't know what the hell he does. And that was one thing I'll give Stansberry. I don't understand that shit either.
Yeah, but she says that he gave her a huge birthday gift. It was a huge check for the house. So then they ask, who's paying for the house? And she says that we both do. So of course, Andy's like, but you just said that he gave you a house for the check. She's like, oh, no, for the furniture inside the house.
And apparently this is true because Munaf helped him convert
Bitcoins,
yeah,
for cash. Now, apparently Sergio had made a tweet saying sexual existence. It's called sexual activity, and clearly you didn't have any in a long time.
This is at Ion.
At Ion, yes.
Apparently,
And she says that he would know better than her because she don't believe he's getting any. She says he doesn't even know the shape of a vagina or how babies come out. So she's not sure he's ever touched one. Now, let me tell you something. She burned that nigga. She burned him and Stansberry with that comment.
Okay.
She killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay. Then apparently Sergio tried to come for Mina Rowe and her 8-figure business and says that it was funded by their friend. And she says, first of all, it was not funded by anyone, and pulls out receipts showing what it's making just off of Facebook ads alone. And Stansberry pulled out her phone.
Prior to Bravo.
Exactly. And Stansberry is like, well, how was that if it ain't getting no traffic? What you don't want to do is come for Lisa.
Okay.
She said, don't come for me with your bankrupt business. Put her business in the street, Lisa.
Okay.
We all ears.
I was like, I already told y'all Lisa was sitting over there brewing. I don't know why y'all why you let her boil over. You should have turned her off. So we're having our Brooke spotlight of the show. And she lets us know that the glass house is going to be opening up in 28 days. Super, super proud. Congrats. They're doing a soft launch, but says that by the fall, it'll be fully open. So shout out to Brooks for making that dream come true. And you are making history, boo. Again, We don't mind getting flued out. So now Brooks said Zoran have come a long way. Because there was a time where he couldn't even come past her gate. Okay. And Andy basically asked her what it meant for him to apologize to her. And she basically talks about how it meant a huge deal because she said that's the reason why she held so much anger against humans. I was like, well, that's deep, not just humans. That's general, right? Um, she says that they were in a super violent relationship, verbally, physically, and it wasn't a place where she needed to be with her child. And I love how she says, Zoran said it. Like, it's not like he held no punches, because I guess Andy wanted it to get more deep. And I guess he was looking for, he blacked my eye. But I think the undertones of it, without completely throwing him under the bus, definitely gave us the vibe that was abusive in many ways. So, but obviously he's owned up to it. She said that, God is in his life now. And, but there was one point, and I guess the breaking point was for her, they were in Serbia, and she felt her life was in danger. So she called her mom, and her mom got her out of there. She went and stayed with one of her ex-friends in Dubai, and basically stayed there, worked for a tech company. Girl says she just left with the baby and the baby bag. And basically worked her way up into who we know her as today. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. So Andy asked her, why do you think he was so comfortable filming? And Brooks even admits that she was surprised, but she says that shows a lot about how far he's come and really accepting who he was back then. And I can completely agree. I was all over it. Then we change the subject and we get into what Brooks likes, because we know she got a roster. And apparently, word on the street allegedly is that Brooks likes African men. Now, Ion chimes in and says that she has an aunt. Now, this is what her aunt knows many people, but apparently her aunt knows one of the guys.
She's like big in the government.
Oh, okay.
She's like a big government person, she said, in Kenya, and knows he's like a family friend that Brooks used to mess with. But apparently, look, whoever she deal with, they rich.
Of course.
We just need to hang out together.
And of course, Brooks is just sitting there. Oh, who, me? Yes, you, girl. So then we address, obviously, Brooks' anger. And Andy asks Sarah where, she thinks Brooks' anger stems from. And Sarah says she believes it's from the marriage because she's been there, and says that she often feels like, Brooks probably often feels like people are trying to attack her. Andy then brings up the parenting conversation between Sarah and Brooks. And Brooks says that they're in a much, much better place now. She thinks Sarah is a great person, and that now that they're closer, she feels like she wouldn't say what she said today. But even if she did, she said she would receive it differently. Then Andy flips the script and says, so Sarah, how would you have responded if Brooks said that to you?
Andy, we know, asked Sarah how she would feel if the tables were turned. And Brooks said the same to her. And she says that she doesn't think she would get upset, that, she would have just pulled her to the side and said that she didn't want to talk about it. And Brooks said, I would have read the energy.
Okay. Of the person you're speaking to.
Exactly. Because she's like, my energy was definitely saying, my eyes and my energy was saying, don't try me, bitch.
Right.
Don't try me. And they asked Nina, after hearing both sides, whose side was she on? They kind of go back and forth because Nina, she didn't really want to answer the question, I believe. And she says that Brooks asked her to call Sarah and find out why she would do such a thing. So she did. And then at the engagement party, she says she doesn't know if Brooks was intoxicated or what, but Brooks flipped out on her. She didn't answer the question, no.
She kind of didn't.
No, she didn't.
She tried to use an excuse of she called at 6 a.m., but apparently that's something that Brooks does.
Yeah. To everybody.
He terrorizes everybody in the morning. We couldn't be cool. Look, afternoon maybe, but I can't start my morning.
I would just know to block her.
Yeah.
every night. So Brooks says that she was intoxicated because she saw a 360 bar and she wanted to make her rounds. And she said she was double fisting
Fisting her Pinots.
her peanut. Yeah. I mean,
You know, I'm here for it, Brooks.
It's a party, it's a party, it's a party. Hey. Now, apparently, if Stansberry was there wouldn't have been a fight because she's like the Brooks whisperer, I'm guessing.
Apparently, she has a way to get Brooks to settle down, and she's like, "No, that wouldn't have happened if I was there." And Brooks can admit that, yeah, because apparently they're very close.
So Andy asked Ion, Boo, what were you thinking? Bringing these girls together in public. And she says, she wanted to bring them into her culture where they could sit down, feed each other, out of respect. And says that she also previously spoke to Sarah about being judgy, and Sarah couldn't understand why. And she brings up a time where they were at an event and Sarah wrote on her hand, kind. So, she gets upset about it. She really didn't understand. And she's like, I wrote on myself, give. Just because I wrote on myself, give doesn't mean that I don't give. I wrote on you, kind, because I felt that you were kind. So everybody was trying to explain to her. And she does say that, later on, after being upset, she sat down with Sarah and had that conversation
and realized it was a
misunderstanding. And Nina tells her that like the people that are good to her, she thinks that like everybody's against her.
First it started because Sarah says, so you took that situation and you tried to make a victim of yourself.
And yeah, like, I ain't never no victim.
And Andy does admit that she's being hella defensive. And again, that's when Nina steps up and says, well, basically, when people are good to you, you think that you're against you for some reason.
And Lisa says it's your actions that don't match your words. Basically, that's why. And I gotta tell that girl to go get a French fry and look at the moon. I said, what the hell? So Sarah says that, says to Lisa and Ion that they talk shit about people, like about everybody. And she's like, everybody talks shit about everybody. So Sarah's like, well, what the hell did I say about you? Now, Ion could not answer this, but she did say that the entire season, she spoke very highly of her. The only thing that she said in an interview or confessional was that she was preachy and judgmental. And now this girl's trying to open up a case on her, calling the police, getting a lawyer, all types of shit. And
because apparently you can't even talk bad about nobody for which how are they getting away with this? Because Stansberry and Lisa and everybody else has no issues. So
well, what I know is, so because I wanted to know the same thing. Andy asked Sarah what she meant when she said to Brooks, say shut up to me one more time and I'm gonna deal with you differently.
Sarah said what I said.
Sarah said that she's 99% nice and sweet, but she got that 1% that can fight. And look, Ion and Lisa said, no, it's more like 85%. She's like, look at the two highlighters, got a mouth. And Ion don't even know what the hell a highlighter is.
And of course, Lisa's like, yes, bitch, I will highlight everybody on this cat. Yes, we do that.
They were kind of matching though. Their dresses were kind of matching, the colors. It was kind of cute.
We move on to the Brooks and Ion portion of the show and their love-hate sisterly relationship. It's always entertaining, as we know. Now, Andy wants to start off positive, and he asks Brooks what she admires about Ion. Brooks says her ability to make you laugh. And Ion says that Brooks is fun to actually be around, and she has a good time with her. And they both admit that they, met through Lisa. So he's like, was it, immediate? And Ion's like, no, not at all. She's like, Brooks was dramatic. She showed up 25 minutes late. She didn't want to talk to nobody. And, Brooks admit, yeah, I was a little, kind of standoffish. I wasn't, but eventually they started to gel. Now, one of the viewers calls out how they thought Brooks really enjoyed calling her at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., to tell her that she wasn't invited to Stansberry's hidden party. Now, Brooks says that she just wanted to confirm whether she was invited. And Ion's like, just admit that you wanted to rub it in my face. And Brooks is like,
she was being a bitch.
I plead the fifth. Fifth. So this is where I got lost because Ion just starts yelling and gets upset.
Yeah, they just went back and forth.
They go back and forth, and she talks about how Brooks has been talking shit to her and about to the whole cast. And then Lisa says that Brooks is jealous of Ion
and their friendship, yeah.
And then in their friendship, I thought she was just jealous, but okay.
No, she was saying of their friendship, and that's part of the reason that they created a whole new friend group.
Oh, and then Sarah's like, no, we're actually friends.
She was like, what, from like a week ago? About a week ago.
Right. Now, Andy points out, because at this point, there's like this call on stage. And he's like, I'm sure, because it until he pointed it out, it was weird to me too. But they have like these flash fights where they literally say what they need to say and then they move on.
Brooks was like, and now it's over. They both said that they have things about each other that they really like and things about each other that they really irritate each other
for the world.
But they deal with it.
Right.
And Andy says that they're like two tops fighting for dominance. And she said that was a great comparison.
Well,
they move on to Lisa. And he asked her about her putting ice in her pool, like if it's a thing in Dubai. And she says, you know, they have a heater and a chiller, but it's just a fun thing to do. And he says to Stansberry, why did she feel the need to go on Twitter and announce that she has a heater and a cooler in her pool?
And a chiller.
Huh?
And a chiller.
Yes. And she says because nobody does that unless they have to. Like everybody has, well, she says she has one. And she's like, nobody puts ice in their pool unless they have to. And Lisa says that she also has a heater and a pool, a heater and a cooler.
For every home.
She says it's standard. And she was like, you know, but she's new to having a home. So I thought, oh, the shade.
And of course, Stansberry's like, I have homes.
I have homes. And Andy gives his condolences to Mrs. Goat. And Lisa says that she was genuinely heartbroken. She didn't think that she was going to get attached to Ms. Goat, but you know, she became a staple in their family, and it really made her and her family really, really sad.
They loved Mrs. Goat.
Yes.
Then he asks Stansberry to, you know, what are her feelings about Mina Rowe? Because apparently she questioned how legitimate this business was. And she said that she went on Google and, you know, nothing really came up. And, you know, she's like, you know, one of my friends actually designed for her. And, you know, Lisa kind of likes to steal designs. So Lisa's like, okay, no, that's what we're not gonna do. She's like, I've never sold nothing. She's like, I think she said like 90% of her designs are done by her. And she's like, and I may outsource 10%. And even then, I'm purchasing the licensing. So technically it's mine, boo. And I was like, well, at least she know her numbers. I can't, the way that rolled off the tongue. So I believe she know what she's talking about. Now, Stansberry then does say, well, my friend, you know, and Andy's like, well, is your friend going to take any legal action? And she's like, well, in all fairness, she did just tell me about it. But, you know, maybe she would. And Lisa's like, look, what y'all not going to do is I am the only person on this cast that actually has a legitimate business.
Is this the same friend that funded her business?
And apparently this makes everybody on the damn cast upset. Nina and Sarah are like, what? We don't have businesses? Nina's like, I don't have businesses? And Lisa's like, she just ignores her. Sarah's talking, whatever. And she's like, I'm still the only person on this cast that has a legitimate business. So then Stansberry hands over the Book of Lies, which apparently has Lisa up on it. So apparently that's what we're going to get into for part 2 of the Real Housewives of Dubai reunion. So if you guys have not already, please make sure that you've hit that like button.
You comment,
you subscribe.
And you hit the notification bell.
And please make sure that you are following us on all platforms. And yeah, y'all, these some messy little. I don't know how they so messy, but I guess that's why they had to make them come over here to be messy because they couldn't even do it in Dubai. But we'll get into it in part 2. Love you. Thank you for your support. We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Good night.
Front, back, side to side. Make sure you go like and subscribe. Front, back, side to side. Make sure you go like and subscribe. Hey!